Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the House of Holocrons podcast. So, it's been an absolute detriment to be away from you all, but we're finally back, and with the most absolute amazing occasions, we have not only a guest, we have the Bad Batch back. And so, to have the Bad Batch back, you have to have the Bad Batch Brigade boys back, and with the Bad Batch back, and the Boys Brigade boy back, and now we're all here.
Reset.
Reiteration.
Yeah.
You had no idea the new Bad Batch came out. No,
Oh, what? It did? Dang.
No clue.
I gotta go watch that.
nothing. This is what I wear normally.
Ignore the helmet
so.
behind you.
This just happens. It's circumstance.
I would have gotten it in if the new season had come out. So.
True that. I've actually they sadly canceled a re-release for Hunter's new for Hunter's figures in the Black Series line, so he just became immensely more popular.
He's the only one I'm missing.
Yep, sadly a lot of people are reporting that. Now we're not missing them though in the shows because we got 2 episodes they gave us at what, like over 22. One was like 22, one was like 24 minutes. So average
About half an hour each.
about half an hour, yeah. Definitely did not feel like we skipped a single beat. Like it went right back into it.
Yeah, they skipped in time, but they just dropped you right in. Didn't talk you through anything. Just
Which
I
won't.
don't think they needed to.
You don't really need to,
no.
but to the detriment, the one and only problem I have was just it didn't. It sadly they hype every grandiose intro and premiere up so much. You expect like, oh, the first episode at least is going to be crazy, and these just felt like, to me, it felt like episode 4 and 5. It was not bad. It's great. It's amazing. I loved it.
Came off 2
Right.
series.
Yeah, exactly. And Andor is now put like champagne taste.
Anything following Andor is gonna not seem as good, and
especially when it's animated. Yeah, if Andor comes out and the next show that comes out is going to be an animated show.
Well, we also had the Jedi Tales.
True.
Yeah.
I guess though that's
really
different.
Good animation, so that was hard to follow that as well.
I thought the animation on this one was just next level. The smallest minute details, and also
Yes.
how they blended the colors. I mean, we definitely saw that in Bad Batch season 1, even from like Clone Wars season 7 to Bad Batch season 1, the animation just next level. And even this one, and Hunter's little mom scarf, I noticed it was kind of waving in the wind a little bit. I still really want to know why he has that fucking scarf. I love it, but also just like it's really useless. I mean, I guess it's kind of just aesthetic to have like something red wrapped around him or something like that. But I just thought the coloring was so beautiful, and I'm sure you guys all know the group that does the Bad Batch cosplay, the Dad Batch. So I follow them very closely, and Alpha Ignition, who cosplays Hunter, like, crap, I'm gonna have to redo my entire kit because there's so much more detail that they got to see.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm like, are they going to do a new figure drop, or they're going to re-release all these figures with their new paint jobs? Because I'll buy them. They know I will.
They're going to. They want the money, and then people are gonna buy it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, the scarf, I think it's just more of a tie-in to, we have modern day, we look at kind of special forces and our military. A lot of them, when they're in the desert, they get the I can't think of the term for it, the scarves.
Oh yeah, but
which is the Middle Eastern scarves that are used mainly for sand. I had one when I was deployed, but I didn't use. Well, it starts with an S. It's a Muslim scarf. And I think that's what they were supposed to tie it into, kind of a special forces, because he's kind of
The beautiful collection of pixels that
Yeah.
step over and should have no reason to.
There we go.
he's the clone equivalent. He's supposed to be like the clone equivalent of the I forgot what
Rambo?
the
He's Rambo.
special
Yeah,
forces.
he's straight up.
He's one of those guys.
So for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about with that scarf, though, imagine anyone you knew in high school that was stupid heavy into paintball and airsoft. They wore one. They wore it.
Well, and that's what I was saying. Like the
real
Net
reason
Gators,
is-
that's kind of the equivalent now.
It's the cover.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's something that has that kind of pattern.
It's
It has a lot of
supposed to-
fringes on it. Usually when they were
When
like
there's a sandstorm,
paintballers.
it's meant to cover your face for a sandstorm.
You gotta have the fringes, man.
One of the biggest takeaways at the beginning I had was I did not expect Wanda Sykes to be in this
I would definitely say I did not expect. I saw this character and I saw them show off this character.
I heard her voice too.
I heard her voice and I thought, is that?
I did not expect Wanda Sykes at all. I was so surprised when she started.
And she just is a blip. Like she's just there for a second and then goes. You know she's gonna come back.
Character.
Dude, I'm so hyped for it.
They definitely need to do a live action version of
right, because they definitely designed that character to where it could easily be a live action Wanda Sykes. That was awesome. I love that. I've always loved Wanda Sykes. I can't believe I just spaced on the Trandoshans name.
Did.
Yes. I absolutely have always loved that character. The smoking grandma kind of character that watches out for everybody has always been one of my favorite tropes. So it was amazing to see that everything's going fine there. And Omega, I feel like, has definitely in this one, like she still has those same issues where she's like, I'm not going to be a burden on the team, but I'll give her this. Way more balls to the wall about it, at least. Like she doesn't have that little kid vibe anymore. She still has that, like, I gotta prove myself, and now it's like that angsty teenager.
Yeah, angsty teenager, and I'm going through puberty, and I don't understand this.
Young Ahsoka treatment.
Where gotta get some.
She started getting into combat, and she was like starting to get out there. But at least Ahsoka had the excuse that she was following Anakin, and so she had that role model where because he was. He was always that way, but at least it's probably in her blood too. So
and that's one of the things I really enjoyed about the first episode was how it was a lot more too of like just this kind of bringing back together. I felt like the emotional bonds between everybody and how the Bad Batch was a group. How Wrecker talked to Tech, how Tech talks to Hunter, how Hunter deals with Omega running off, how Omega deals with being the new one. Crosshair still always had that 40-yard stare where you don't know if at any moment he could just snap and be like, I'm going back to my brothers, or just like go kill them. You have no idea what he's going to do next. I love Crosshair just because I'm so like, what's going to happen with him? Is he going to go back?
We didn't get to see enough of him before he turned.
Yeah.
Originally, he was one of my favorite because I kind of like that sniper aspect part, but I don't know. I just like it in Star Wars, the designs for it.
Yeah, he and I've always like he had the awesome trick shots. I was rewatching The Batch, like the one where Tarkin is investigating their talent. He just like tells Wrecker just to throw his knife up and shoots it into one of the droids' heads. It's just like, whoa. He had, like, as much as everyone has amazing powers, even Tarkin saw this. They knew that's why Crosshair had to be the first one they tested on, because if any of them were able to be taken, he needed Crosshair because a sniper is going to be the best assassin and soldier over any of those aside from maybe Hunter. I'm sure Hunter's just as good of a shot to a degree, but Crosshair will always beat him in a sharpshooting contest.
Well, speaking of, one of the things that really stood out to me in this episode was we got to see a reminder of, even though they have their own specialities and some are better than the other, we got to see Tech, who's kind of the nerd of the group.
Yeah.
He went into equivalent of a badass because they're still elite clone troopers, and he did that whole, and he was crippled. He still took out several clones in an E-Web, the machine gun.
Mm-hmm.
He took that out and then he used that on the ship. He all completely injured, and he basically hobbled out there with a shattered leg. I mean,
yeah,
he showed that. Yeah, that even like their minimum is high, really high.
Right. Oh.
no.
Oh no.
We're I think one of the things I'm liking on the Tiki Tax is that, one, all of the tech sims are just coming out of the woodwork. I'm like, finally, my boy's getting some love. But also, he is the uber nerd and the one we just kind of want to punch in the face with his unnecessary facts sometimes. But then you see him in combat mode. You're just like, oh right, you're a full ass soldier.
Right.
Forget about this. And my only beef with these first two episodes, I looked it up, and 120 kilograms of force. I don't know what the gravity is like on Sereno, and I don't know at what height the crate fell from.
Yeah.
But his leg should have been fucking shattered. Okay.
Sereno has higher gravity.
Well,
I think Sereno had a higher gravity or something, because when they describe it with everything, all the
Sereno looked pretty Earth-like. Humans live on it.
It's gotta have lower gravity because You also get Wrecker that lifts that chest full of precious metals. That is insane.
Yeah, true.
Chest is so heavy.
It's also Wrecker, but like, so that's got me wondering. It's like, did the Kaminoans engineer the clones to have a higher bone density or something like that? Because
and
that man's femur should have been fucking shattered.
That was the thing I was kind of thinking. They have that like whatever equivalent to like pain dampening or something.
No, I'm sure they have pain dampening, but
go into a fight and keep going into a fight.
Well, I feel like with all of the Bad Batch, they were all given like an advanced skeleton, advanced muscle structure, just to be premier soldiers. That's why any of them can, like, when they get in a fist fight with Regs, even Tech can take 4 or 5 Regs out on his own, no problem, because he's still a little faster and stronger than them. So yeah, I feel like they definitely made their muscles maybe like thicker.
Well, he's definitely stronger.
Bone. Yeah.
The whole engagement where he literally had a shattered leg and he just
walked on it.
He just fought, like I said, a guy an E-Web blaster.
Now they could also, of course, tell us, oh well, don't forget he applied some Calto, some Bacta to himself, and it healed a little.
That is the other thing.
He had a little Bacta.
We also get to see a contrast between the main hero style series compared to Andor.
Mm-hmm.
When one person gets crushed, they just die. The other person gets crushed, they just hobble along like it's nothing.
Yeah.
So it's.
I will say I'm
two contrasts.
I'm happy he's. Well, we don't know exactly yet, but hopefully he doesn't lose that leg.
Yeah.
That was my first thought when it was crushed. I'm like, oh no, he's gonna lose a leg, and they're gonna start it off this way.
You're gonna get the Echo treatment, basically.
Right. Yeah. Another one of Echo's.
Which Echo brings up my kind of thing of like, you forget that Echo trained in the 501st and had all that stuff, and then these guys, they didn't have a lot of firsthand training or firsthand experience.
Right, and that's why I've always loved that. Whenever like Omega needs someone to actually like talk to her emotionally, it's been Echo, sorry, the cat's running by. It's been Echo that it would be like, I'll talk to her about emotions because you all are fucking nuts, and I'm the only person who understands what a real human thinks like to a certain degree.
Yes, I may be more robot now.
Yeah, I'm kind of a robot, and I'm still a child soldier. But
they've had experience because they've done missions before the show started.
Yes,
so right.
But they did missions
way more experience
by themselves.
He's been dead essentially. So
yeah, and with being part of like 501st and like the Rishi boys, that's like phase 1 or 2 of programming. So he's been out since the beginning of the war and all that kind of stuff. But no, go ahead.
Oh, that's the thing I'm really interested about with Echo, and just okay. So he's the one we're seeing as kind of the emotional compass for the boys. And part of me is wondering, one, okay, you have to remember Echo was the one who was kind of the suck up, and the reason why his name was Echo was because he kept repeating all of the things, and it was very by the book. He even said, like, I read the manual. It's like, why didn't you read the manual, Heavy? It's like, oh right, I'm a fucking nerd just like Tech. But then now, he was experimented on by the Techno Union, and he was fully aware of what was happening. So I'm wondering if he is kind of sick of how quote unquote rogue the Clone Force 99 is in onto themselves, because they aren't by the book, and that I think actually makes his soul want to just die. But then also I'm sure he has some misplaced guilt knowing that whatever the Techno Union took from him, even though I think a part of him knows it wasn't his fault in any capacity, but he still feels very guilty and responsible for all the deaths of his brothers and the clones. So I'm wondering if this is him finally realizing, or not realizing, but just kind of getting fed up with feeling that much guilt. So now he wants to do something, as opposed to Hunter, who his guilt is for losing Crosshair. Like I know a lot of people get shit on Hunter for abandoning Crosshair, but I disagree with that on so many levels. But he feels so guilty about losing his brother, so now that guilt is going to be projected onto Omega as an insane helicopter mom, and that they're going to make Hunter kind of a one-note character this entire season just because he wants to protect Omega. But it's just like, no, Hunter's way more dynamic than that, but I'm very scared that they're just going to push him into that box for this season, and people are going to hate him. And
that's a good prediction.
You see also that you kind of see in this episode as well, when they started doing their starting the actual mission, that was kind of echoing off what you said, and tied into what we said earlier about Echo. But we see him be almost a helicopter mom since the whole point of losing Crosshair. He starts to do stuff on his own now. because he doesn't want to put them in danger. Like he said immediately, you guys go take care of. You guys go start. I'll be the distraction. I'm gonna go off on my own. And he keeps on trying to go on his own, and every time I think it's the whole point. He doesn't want to risk the others. So I think I think we'll get that, and not only her but the others. I think you'll start seeing him more controlling, which will probably push the others away. You know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hopefully, get some conflict like that.
Well, I feel like the thing that'll probably bring them all back together is dealing with Cody. That's what's gonna be the big one. And
it'll also be hard because he's still being controlled. So,
but at least from the previews we've seen, like he's talking to Crosshair about clones starting to question things, and I know you 100% are saying Clone Rebellion.
Oh, I 100% think Clone Rebellion this season.
I would not be surprised at all either, but I could also just see to where like with Cody, maybe like a few more. I don't know if it'd be like the full scale rebellion that we got in like the expanded universe, but I could see some of them being way more rebellious and just being like, nah, dude, they're figuring it out.
Well,
Hauser,
Cody should be one of the first ones.
Cody,
because because clones like him that were the officers or the special made like Clone 99, they were given more autonomy because they weren't the generic troopers. So they were, because the officers, they got to think, and since he's basically one of the highest ranking officers, he's got to be able to think on his own and not just follow orders. So I'm sure there's some he's already questioning, but I mean, you got to think, especially since he's so high up in the internal, that to him, besides them invading planets and turning more aggressive on the people, to him, it probably not much has changed. So.
I think also Hauser's actions on Ryloth probably spurned some of the clones to start thinking, this doesn't seem right. But then also with Wilco, I'm still like gobsmacked at that last scene, just like, again.
Yeah, no, Mesa Windu brought up a point. I didn't even think of this, but Mesa Windu straight up said, hey, they made Rampart interesting. I went, oh, wow, I had literally did not even think of Rampart. No, is it going on here? Okay, never mind. It just froze on us for a second there. Anyway, but no, I haven't even like thought about Rampart until that last scene. I was like, oh, that's right, he's supposed to be a bad guy.
No, I thought about him because so again, I still think Crosshair has his chip. Either that, or they took out the chip, but then they also used his mutation, or his mutations, whatever the Unknowns did, and enhanced the dick side of his personality and to make him more suppliant.
Yeah.
Because again, if they show the scar, but like if his burn scar is here, whereas the chip is a little more near the temple.
Yeah.
So I mean, I fucking hate Rampart on some of those, and this just went to a whole other level. But also, the voice actor is having so much fun on Twitter.
I bet. Yes,
it's the funniest thing in the world. And I'm just like, this is wonderful. But also, I actually commented on his tweet and was like, guys, we found the Dolores Umbridge of the Bad Batch, and he was so happy.
Yeah. No, I really did love the fact that he was like, no one can know that I fucked up on Camino. These guys are dead, right? Right? And he's like, I gotta, orders are orders. Good soldiers follow orders. Blam. All right, whatever.
It shows Wilco, quote unquote, wasn't a good soldier.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't following in orders. So I'm like, yes, we're starting to see the
right
breakdown of the chip.
Yep, no matter what, the chips will eventually like start to go against the fact that they were still given a soul and still have free will to a degree. It's like, that was the problem. It's like, they needed that to be better than the droids, but then they also... I think the only reason they were supposed to age so fast and Palpatine made sure that they age fast continuously through their life is so he knew like eventually he could get rid of them. Because if Palpatine knew 100%, if he did not have some way to kill them off quickly within like a few years, they would have 100% joined the rebellion and would have wiped the floor with the Empire.
Because even if you try to program them, since they are sentient beings, they're not droids. You can only do so much, and so eventually it's gonna wear off. So that's this whole chip thing's just giving him this window until he can get rid of them.
And it's really hard to bribe them.
Yeah, it's very hard to bribe them. That's in their soul, is the ability to be like, no, I give my word, and that is what I follow. I don't care about anything else.
Yeah, and you basically have them go through this whole war to this whole, you breed them to do this specific thing, and then all of a sudden you flip that on them, and they're supposed to follow that without question.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to lead to a lot of craziness. I know a few people are thinking because they said Sereno. People have already started to guess like, oh, how's this going to affect any with Gungi? I'm like, I don't think Gungi's showing up till maybe like 5, 6, 7. Like, he's not going to be there for a bit. I got to look at the list. I'm sure the list will literally just say something about a Jedi. I'm like, oh, it's that episode. But
or young one or something like that.
Right. But I love the idea of having Gungi in there. Let's see. All right, here we go. The clone.
The list.
Yeah, I got the list.
It's
So we just had the Spoils of War and the Ruins of War.
Which we
Yeah,
completely were off on what we thought that was going to be.
Yeah, the next one is the Solitary Clone, which I don't know if that's going to be about Crosshair.
I think it's going to be Crosshair.
Or Cody.
I think it might also be Wolf.
Wolf?
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Because I
have to see Wolf at some point because
Yeah.
again, we've got Gregor, Wolf, and Rex. And
Yeah.
everyone also is speculating, we're going to see why Rex left the fight. Again, I'm pretty sure it's going to have to do with Cody, but it's going to kill me.
I believe one of the co-writers for that episode was a co-writer from the Book of Boba Fett. So
Yeah.
see, probably Wolf might be more closer to it, or
That would be
I don't know.
amazing to see. Well, I didn't think about Wolf for a Solitary Clone. Because I know Cody's going to feel alone to a degree because like all of his brothers that he considered his best friends have left. They're all dead and gone. Which if they give us a flashback scene of Cody like looking out and like seeing like Jesse and Rex and all that, I'm just gonna
Stop.
I
I need to see that. I do not need to see that stuff right now. No.
Just that slow turn with the helmet being taken off and just looking over his shoulder. Yep, just done. Everyone's done. Yep, everyone cries.
I don't even think we can keep watching at that point. It's gonna be like a pause and just emotion.
Reflect, drink.
Let the Filoni build in our chests before we.
But I feel because that's what's gonna. That's why Cody's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna die. I really think they're gonna be able to save Cody because he's gone through so much. I don't think he's gonna give in to the chip. I don't know like what's gonna happen if he's like maybe he'll straight up say like, oh, we heard about Kenobi and like, no, I can't go there. That's too. I can't. We can't both be on this planet. That would ruin everything. He's got his own thing. I don't want to chance killing my best friend.
I would love if they set it up to where Cody does survive and sets up season 2 of Kenobi if they end up doing that. Because to see Tem back as Cody and to explore Cody after all of this would be fascinating.
I think Cody's already been questioning. I think the only reason why he hasn't is I think he just doesn't know about a lot of the more aggressive things the Empire's been doing. Because, like I said, as an officer, he should already be questioning because he has more freedom.
Mm-hmm.
He's programmed because he's a leader.
Yeah.
So he should already be questioning. But like I said, I think he just hasn't been. To him, nothing has really changed.
Well, if he's wearing, he has gray, and canonically that doesn't mean anything in the Empire because they kind of mute all color. But I know normally the gray has been like home base guard from like with Camino and stuff like that. So maybe he's just been on Coruscant the whole time. And I wouldn't be surprised if Palpatine kept all the high clones that were out fighting with Jedi constantly and were around the Jedi all the time. If he kept them on Coruscant, be like, no, you guys can't be out in the fringes of space on an outpost randomly having memories of the Jedi not trying to kill everyone.
Because then he can keep an eye on them and
keep an eye on everyone. If they have the second there's any like insurrection in their brain, reprogramming. Because he's got to keep people like Cody under command because he knows too much.
And they did I read an interview they did with John Fargo about questioning if there's going to be any Boba Fett in this, and that's because apparently a lot of people are asking for season 2 if Boba Fett will show up. And he basically, so I was gonna say before we start speculating that he's most likely never gonna show up in the show. And he said why he's supposed to focus more on a reason why is because he's kind of her brother, sorry.
Yeah.
And so they wanted more of the focus on her. And essentially he said also that the series is supposed to be they're almost the polar opposites in characters, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I don't think we will ever see Omega. Or I don't think it'll be like Boba in Omega show. I think it'll be Omega in Boba's.
That would
like
be cool.
A live action Omega who's like an adult now and like grown up with Boba.
Contacts Fennec.
Right.
And Fennec's like,
or Fennec contacts her or something. It's like, oh my god, Boba has this super rare disease and fucking Bosk poisoned him again, and he needs a blood transfusion, and no one has his blood. Oh my god, a perfect match. Just
I mean,
female.
he doesn't really need a disease issue. He already has been. He's already struggling.
Yeah, he's already been beat up a lot.
We've seen enough of these flashbacks in the back of the tank. We already know he's injured.
Yeah.
I will say that first shot of Omega, it really kind of struck me. Like, oh yeah, she is like looks exactly like Boba.
Oh, and just with a little bit of training, because it hadn't been that long.
Yeah.
I'll give it maybe a year or something like that, right? It's been maybe a year or so in between.
I thought it was
but
a 3-year jump. Because in season 1, she looks like between 8 and 9.
I mean, even he started younger than her doing crazy stuff because he got in bounty hunting pretty early. Yeah, you could see the difference between who they were raised by.
The other big thing too is with the training. Yeah, he was trained in the criminal underworld, how to be a shot, how to survive, how to take any means necessary to get the target.
Which she was
And
taught
he never
the
really
same
had
thing,
a-
but
No,
the
no,
science side
that
of
is
it.
not.
No, on the same world.
Mm-hmm.
The science part of it and everything with that's where hers started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had all the tactical training that all the soldiers had.
Yep.
I would say her training didn't start because she was kept in the laboratory as pretty much just like a assistant. So she learned some sciencey stuff. I feel like her training started when she was with the guys, and the fact that he had a more syndicate upbringing will definitely lead her to be like, I could see her showing up and being almost a better shot than him, but him being more resilient in the fight. Like, he doesn't get down and get knocked down and stay down by the Rancor, whereas like she just knows how to take it out quicker with like tripwires and set up a trap.
But Omega also does have the
let Wrecker
strategy.
Yeah.
herself.
So she'd be able to probably outthink some of her opponents who are larger and stronger and more ruthless than her. Will it help her? I mean, it depends on how long her opponent could last. I feel like Omega could out-strategize an opponent to where they could become exhausted and she's able to get away.
She's also really like learning the team aspect of everything.
Well,
A lot more instead of by herself.
That'll be the one thing Boba
Yeah.
will have. Hey, but if it was ever Boba versus Omega, then Omega would get screwed because she didn't got a team.
Well, the funny thing about with Bad Batch is it's basically a show about fathers. If you think about it, Boba had a father figure. Jango wasn't much of a father, but he was basically a father to him. He loses his father. Well, Omega doesn't have a father and gains 4 fathers. And so you could see that apparently having 4 dads really is beneficial than having no parents at all.
I mean, and look at how it ended up. Yeah, look how it ended up. I don't think Omega spent time in a Sarlacc pit. So if nothing else, she's always gonna have that up on him.
I mean, we don't know yet.
You know what? Maybe that's how they bond. There's Sarlacc burn awareness.
We just didn't see them both crawl out.
Yeah. They had a therapy session down there. Yeah, we
You're
both
cloned too. What? Who was you cloned off of?
Well, hold on, you're not that old though. I would
kiss, did we?
no, not that kind of brother and sister.
No.
Hey,
That's only a Skywalker thing.
It's a space opera repeats, okay?
Yeah. We're gonna find out somehow that Shmi did somehow actually sire through Palpatine, and so when Rey and Ben kissed, it was like cousins.
No, stop. Shut
It's
up.
not Game of Thrones.
Thank you.
Game of Thrones.
Or Alabama.
Oh, if you're listening in Alabama, I apologize for my wife. I don't apologize for Alabama though, because you know where you live. I was pretty shocked and very happy when I heard that we were going to Sereno. I kind of expected a little bit more like
I expected a lot more.
lore or like the world, maybe a city, maybe like some background stuff where I'd be like, hey, that was from Dooku Jedi Lost. Man, was that just a forest and then Dooku's castle
Palace
and then
like,
a
destroyed
closet?
City.
Oh, and a container. Like I feel like that might have been the thing that held it back a little bit. The idea of the heist had me amped. When I heard what they were doing, I'm like, this is going to be such a freaking cool episode. They're going to be showing off so many things. Like, oh, they're going to, like, this is Darth Tyrannus's ancient thing that he had that was like this family portrait. And maybe we could see like what his family looked like. And they could have dropped some cool Easter egg or something. And, oh, we're going to Sereno. So you get to see the dragon that bursts out of the end of Dooku Jedi Lost, and like, oh, there's this skeleton of this literal giant dragon. That's really cool. No, we got a container and a very heavy big chest in a closet.
Yeah, I was hoping for more Easter eggs, especially when we get to see his office and all that.
Yeah.
There was so much potential, but they were like, no, we're going to have it all packed up already.
Right, yeah. I mean, the Empire is efficient. I'll give them that. The Empire is good. But I feel like, I don't know. Again, this felt like episode 3 and 4, where we're already just watching and we've already been amazed by like, oh, wow, they're back. I had the, oh, wow, they're back because I was like, oh my God, I'm watching it. But I'm not kidding if I didn't look at my phone multiple times. I caught myself being like, oh shit, I'm supposed to be watching Star Wars. What am I doing?
Like I said, I think it's just because we kind of got conditioned, and the Clone Wars and the Bad Batch and even Rebels is its own. Well, I don't know if I would put Rebels with it. They have their own.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if it could just be me too, but I'm a very, very easy pleaser. I just think the thing is, when I felt like the plan was way up here, we're going to Sereno to steal an ancient cask of Count Dooku's treasure. Dope. And then the execution. And I like the fact that they didn't even end up with any of it, because the message that it told and how Echo was like, bro, I don't care about the treasure, Omega. We need you. Like, your treasure way more than that stupid box is. And that was beautiful. And I love the heart that was in it. I just felt like there was, to me, grandiose levels could have been a little higher. I know we don't need that for every single series, let alone episode. And Andor is going to put a champagne taste on a beer budget diet in everyone's mouth after such a beautiful show. And it is just me, and I understand that. But I was just, I don't know, I felt like I was like, Dooku's castle, super heist. What happened? Why was I not entertained as much?
I liked it. I mean, the thing that I thought they overdid just a tiny bit in these 2 episodes was like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. But I see what you're saying with wanting to see, I guess you'd say, more Easter eggs about Dooku, but it's the Bad Batch, not cameo land.
Yeah.
And a lot of
I think they're trying to focus on the relationship between them the most. And I think that's why.
But they're going to get a lot of people who wanted stuff if they're going to mention the planet Sereno. That you could have stolen from any rich guy anywhere.
True, but it's also like it almost seems like it's the way people felt with Kenobi. You know, you hear Kenobi and you want all these cameos and callbacks. I mean, we got some, but it's also just like it's its own story. As I know we love to interweave like everything in together, but maybe this is all we're just gonna get. It's like, all right, next.
Yeah.
And I saw a TikTok where someone's like, this gave so much more context to Dooku in the span of like one line by Ramor, where he says like, yeah, Dooku also stole from us. And when we got what we got with Tales in the Jedi was that Dooku initially did want to help the people. He became a separatist, quote unquote, for the people, but he ended up becoming the thing that he was fighting, which was
I think
there's a lot more of that too in Dooku Jedi Lost, the audio drama. That one is so much more about how Dooku fell.
Well, seeing how much he stole, I think, is one of the darkest things we've actually seen from Dooku. Because even everything we've seen from Dooku, it's still questionable if he really turned until the very end.
Mm-hmm.
And then this kind of confirms what they were saying, because not only did they steal from those people, but there was a lot of treasure there. Those were a lot of containers.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money hoarded in one place. A lot of everything valuable, and in munitions, whatever. You know, they took everything off. So he's been taken from people, from separatist planets. So I mean.
Anyone who knows his sister would know that Dooku's sister would have been so disappointed in what he became.
Well, he would have been disappointed in himself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Young Dooku would have hated Dooku 1,000,000,000% after the fall. But that is the dark side. It literally will corrupt. That is a part of it. So that's the fun of it. Which, again, I am happy now that we're having so many shows that take us out of the Jedi. Maybe it is just me being such a Sith stan that when they say Sereno, I'm like, you gotta give me something. Just like a little
well, I think that one of the best treasures that we got from finding out about why they want the treasure
Mm-hmm.
is that they're starting to look for options about fighting the Empire, and they're talking about finding some groups out there, aka rebel groups out there. So we may start seeing kind of more of the forming of its own um, splinter group, because that's at this point we're seeing all these separate rebellions starting up across the galaxy.
You know, we'll
So
get
we're
Saw
gonna
Gerrera
really
because
gonna
Saw
see it.
Gerrera is going to be in every single show, I think, till the end of this
I
like
was wondering if we were
2025.
gonna see Saw in this
Saw Gerrera is in every show now. He's going to be in Ahsoka. I'm calling it now. Somehow he lived.
He pretty much is, except the full movie. I mean, he's in a movie, but he's not in the main movies.
No, and I'll definitely say the fight scene. I love the moment though where also beautifully animated the smoke effects and like the stunning and the fight between the clones and 99. That was awesome. And then also we were watching though how like stun, and then you have Wrecker. I'm a good tank.
We were watching it. That's what I said to my wife. I was like, you know, the whole purpose of them using stun rounds is to keep the clones alive. And he's literally blowing other clones up, and he's dropping boulders on top of them. It was like, you do realize an explosion?
No.
It's not the fire
Batman
that kills you.
Nah.
It's the force from the explosion.
He's Batman. He doesn't kill anyone. He just severely injures them.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like Daredevil. And honestly, when I went back and watched it again, he never hits. But he hits. I don't think he never directly hits any of the clones with the cannon shot. But still, he is just like he's trying. I don't think even if they told him not to, even there's a little bit of record going. But what if I did?
I'm pretty sure there's some shots that are questionable.
Oh yeah, he definitely. It's definitely like they should have died. But welcome to the anime world or animation world, where you get to kind of walk some weird stuff off, like 120 plus kilograms, falling on your you know, the most fragile long bone you have. I can't even imagine the shearing pain of that's how you know he's super resistant to pain, because I smack my shin and I want to kill things. He had it shattered with a box. The whole thing, the whole shin.
He said fractured.
He said fractured
or crushed.
He said fractured, but it should have been shattered.
Durasteel armor, man.
Yeah. Especially since he doesn't have any thigh armor.
Yeah, he has no thigh armor.
I think he said fractured probably to like play it off.
Yeah, he was playing it off, but really it's like there's like 5 breaks.
He didn't act like he was in pain at all, hardly. He was literally walking on it, fighting on it. I mean,
right. I'm just gonna go with a nice, you know, a stim shot or a good
the reason he probably passed out though at the end.
Oh, at the end, yeah. Then he just like
pain.
Adrenaline goes down, pain comes back, and he goes night night.
Just like speaking of the clones, the Imperial clones.
Mm-hmm.
If they had kept the clones, I think the Empire would have been much more effective, because in that span of 25-ish minutes, those clones were more tactical and just more efficient in trying to track down everybody than I ever saw any stormtrooper or conscripted trooper. And I'm like,
so it's some main character shenanigans. They literally cordoned off the area, had them closed in a small area. They searched, like, found all the containers very quickly, and they were able to immediately get ships in there.
They could shoot.
Yeah.
I could hit their damn target.
Yeah, the clones have a lot better efficiency rating compared to normal stormtroopers. I mean, heck, the clones destroyed, you know, they fought the droid army. Those droids were not pushovers.
Right.
To the super battle droids and all of them. And then
well, that's why I never got Tarkin's point of view. Like I never understood why Tarkin and everyone was like, these clones. It's like, you know, they're better. Like I understand that you don't like them because they're also eventually going to remember the Jedi were very good to them. But oh my god, they're so much better than your conscripted, mind-washed gutter rats.
Because he probably didn't see them as people.
Right.
And he just had like that superiority complex. But also, I wandered over onto Tarkin Talk a couple of times. I never read specifically why it was Tarkin Talk, but I inferred many things. I'm just like, okay.
Willoff Tarkin, yeah. Willoff Tarkin stance scare me more than Anakin Skywalker stance.
Yeah, no offense to the Rebel Alliance, but they're nothing compared to the droid army at its
right.
The size of the droid army was so much bigger. The more firepower. It's just the stormtroopers, they did suck.
Yeah. And they're gonna have to, and it has to be a continuous trope. Aside from the fact that it's proven just from the fun of animation side point, but from those original movies, when you're shooting at nothing but main characters, you can't hit anyone, or else the main character dies and there's no movie. So it's canonically always going to be that way, and I'm happy it sticks like that and it stays like that, and I hope it never changes. Like, I even loved it when they brought in like those awesome elite troopers in Bad Batch season 1, where like they have black armor and wow, they're so cool, and Crosshair's always just like, I'm gonna punch you all in the face if you don't just keep up with me.
I mean, the E11 itself is basically a submachine gun, so you're never gonna really hit much with it anyways.
Right, yeah.
It's a close range weapon, and they use it for a lot of far range things. So that's the thing that irritated me. They switch from their rifles and they go down to the shortened blaster that can't hit anything. Why?
Because Palpatine's a cheap. Palpatine's a cheapo. Because Tyrannus wants money. Because imagine Palpatine's horde. We see a little bit of it in the Battlefront 2 game when Luke Skywalker goes to that planet Ossus and finds like this horde that Palpatine had amassed of just Jedi artifacts. I can't even imagine somewhere in the Jedi Temple that he converted over to just like a Smaug, Scrooge McDuck money pit.
I can just see that.
Yeah, just dives right into a stack of gold credits, just miles high. Just swimming around in it, moving it with the Force, just floating in a cloud of money.
Laying on his back, just random lightning to light it up.
Yeah, just like lighting a little bit up with lightning. You just like to make it glow hot. Ooh, pretty. Because the man was like that. That's one of my, as much as I love the Sith, like that's always been my biggest issue with him. I'm just like, you guys know what your own problem is. You are your own problem. Fix it. Fix the problem. Be better. And then the Brotherhood of Darkness tried that, and then they were also stupid. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
But that's the Empire. The Empire is the Ouroboros. It is the snake that has its own tail in its mouth, and it will forever consume itself and not get anywhere ever. Because instead of using this amazing asset of clones and Clone Force 99 and not just being dicks to everyone who wasn't 4 military grades under you, it's just for some, but hey, they're bad guys. They have to be bad guys. We don't like them. There's nothing redeeming about half of them, if not most of them. I mean, even like people love Deidre, but she's not a good person. No, everyone knows she's not a good person. People love Rampart because he's evil and he's a douche canoe. But dang it,
who loves Rampart?
You love to hate him. You love to hate him. Like, he's a good villain.
Tarkin.
Good villain. They're right. Like I love Tarkin. Tarkin's awesome in the real way. No, God, no. He's an evil bastard and he's racist. Like his whole life, he's just bad. But he's a great villain.
Well, they promote the idea of the only way to get up in the Empire is basically to throw, like, either kill your competition or under the bus, instead of actually just promoting competent leaders.
Nah.
This sounds really
That's how you
familiar,
make sure
like
you
what we're
get the
seeing
evil.
on the Senate floor right now.
It's weird how things are poetic and they rhyme.
Art imitates life.
Yes, and Star Wars isn't political.
No, not at all.
Oh, right.
Keep politics out of my Star Wars.
That's gonna be a big one. That's gonna be a big one. That's gonna happen a lot with I think the upcoming parts of Bad Batch. I feel like it's gonna get not political, but just like tense when we are getting back to having Gungi brought in, and because I don't know how they're going to handle being the first series to remind everybody about space wizards. And be like, hey, we have one in here. It's not going to be the whole premise of the show. Don't think that this is going to be like a huge arc where Gungi becomes the main character for the rest of season 2 after episode 4. But
probably gonna be like a quick little excerpt thing, with Hera.
I am extremely excited to see how they're going to just blip in. Hey, some Jedi survived, and then okay, bye.
Yeah, and here's a reminder of Order 66 and
Yeah,
Palpatine.
yeah. Don't forget, Order 66 happened. Here's a reminder. Here's what Gungi saw.
Yeah, we're going to see the Gunji's point of view, and that's going to absolutely destroy me. However, the thing that I'm hoping for is that, so Gunji and the rest of those younglings, except for, what's his face? I fucking hated him. The one who was that little shithead.
Yeah, loudmouth.
I
don't remember that episode that well, just aside from them building lightsabers.
Sacrificed himself to save the rest of that group. And I'm like, all right, I can take that. But then Katuni was able to get a hold of Hondo because they had bonded. And Hondo's the one that saved these younglings.
Yeah.
That's my headcanon. I want to.
And we're going to get Hondo.
Oh, and then the Bad Batch gets to work for Hondo, and they don't make any money because nothing goes right with Hondo.
Hondo, I need to see that dynamic right now because either
man,
be like Hondo actually has very valid points here, and I think we should listen to him, or he's just gonna be like, that is the most illogical thing you could ever possibly do.
But money, you won't make any money. That doesn't make any sense. You'll make no money, but money.
Besides the point, she like kind of bounces around the idea of like, he kind of confuses you and throws out false things.
Yep.
I'm excited to see Tech win the money during the pod drag races on Coruscant because we all know that's happening. Because you guys remember in that very quick clip they're showing like a Coruscant. It's like that's got to be Tech because he's the best pilot. So I'm wondering if they get that desperate for credits. Like we're gonna enter this illegal pod race on Coruscant. We cannot go back to Coruscant. We're gonna have to go to Coruscant. We can't. What about Omega? Fine.
Yeah.
I think Hondo might show up because the pirate stuff right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think she's gonna be a tie-in for it.
They'll get Tech and Echo to like supercharge whatever they're driving.
Right. And who knows though? They could also
probably
either it's Omega shows off she is force sensitive and she's the pilot. Or it is Tech because he is the most adverse to versed in using these things. It could also be Hunter because they literally do say though that he has a better sixth sense and that's like his superpower. He's just.
I think it will be Omega. I think.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to slowly make her the main character, even though she kind of already is. I think they're trying to prop her up.
I really do hope though that Hunter doesn't just be a helicopter mom. Like that would actually be upsetting.
I don't know.
No, and I get that he is, but like
he gave the first like 5 minutes in, like, okay, we get it, you're a proud dad, but like, stop focusing on him so much.
It was beautiful.
Yes,
it was very beautiful.
It was fun. I'm like, I love you so
much. I want to see them do the race with Omega as a pilot, and then all four of them on the sidelines, like soccer moms, like
the little signs.
That I will accept.
Wrecker's gonna start a fight. Wrecker's gonna start a fight.
And one of them's gonna say, who would let her be a pilot anyways? And he's just gonna start.
Yeah. She's just gonna be like,
that's our daughter.
You're just gonna come in for like a pit stop and like the droid's gonna be doing all the things. She's gonna look over. Wrecker's just like throwing like food at people and like flip it over and stuff.
Hunter standing behind the announcer because he just insulted her not too long ago.
Yeah.
So who do you guys think Rex is wanting to extract?
Cody. I think it's because that's the only person left in the military that Rex would have any shits to give about if they're extracting someone like from that. Now, I mean, it could be Wolf also then. It could be they're extracting Wolf who has like shown that his chip is already fritzed out and he won't listen. So kind of like what happened with Gregor where they had to save him from the others. Because I also feel like we're going to need to see more of those clone commandos. I thought for a while they were supposed to be like the people hunting the Bad Batch was going to end up being Scorch because they really showed it to be like these guys are coming after you now after you went through Mount Tannis and went to
I'd be surprised to see Scorch being controlled because out of all the clones that were being controlled or like programmed, the commandos were the least.
Yeah.
They were the original Bad Batch.
But he was shown he was training all the next gen stormtroopers.
I'd be surprised unless they took all that out as canon. But originally they were the most unique clones prior to the Bad Batch.
Right.
Or he could be trying to extract Gregor when they planted him in to infiltrate the clone commandos. That's kind of an interesting storyline.
Behind enemy lines. Yeah. Right. And that'll be a very tense one too. That'll be really, really good. But I think it's gonna probably be a clone. I don't see it being anyone else. Although now, of course, it could be Gungi for all the hell we know. He'd be like, "Hey, we found a freaking Jedi, and obviously we need to save him."
You think at Gungi's age he could still rip some of his arms off?
Oh yes,
think he's old enough.
So they live to be about 400.
Yeah.
So he's got to be maybe in his like 20s to 30s if we're gonna like go off of how Yoda species is, where they're like infantile in 50s.
Isn't he like he would be kind of the almost upper teens for his race?
For his species, yeah, I believe he's like in the upper
would
teen
think
or
so,
like
yeah.
mid upper teens.
He's
You know,
still a
14,
baby.
15. But no, I guarantee you he will rip your arm completely out of socket and like mangle every bone in there if he can't pop it off.
Imagine though, a Jedi that can easily do that.
Oh, that's why, dude. That's why I'm so excited for like the Acolyte and stuff because High Republic had a Trandoshan Jedi, and that was dope.
Yes.
Skier is amazing and one of my absolute favorites, just because he's like the only Trandoshan we ever got to see. And imagine that Trandoshan and a Wookiee Jedi having to work together. I wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see them heal eons and eons of racial warfare.
It's hard to imagine a Trandoshan using the lights of the Force.
Yes, that's why. Yeah, it is.
So very aggressive species.
Well, yeah, they even kind of go over that a little bit in the High Republic comics, where he eventually gets a disease that Trandoshans get that make them revert to a more animalistic state, so they're just constantly aggressive. So he has to leave the Jedi Order because he has a mental disorder. It's crazy. You're like, oh wow. So besides the fact that Trandoshans are just like usually batshit crazy and evil because their god is literally called the Scorekeeper, and the whole point is to kill as many things as possible to get to marry her in the afterlife. Oh yeah, Trandoshans are awesome, man. They got a weird culture. Wookiee culture is pretty fun too, but
it's like Predator-esque.
Yeah. I've always said, yeah. Wookiees are like the backwoods hippies that also have AKs just in case, to protect their weed farm. And then Trandoshans are like the trailer park backwoods meth heads.
The Wookiees are more like one of those guys that are like that lives out in a cabin.
Yeah.
Has a big beard, he's massive.
Teddy bear though.
He built the whole cabin himself, and he's just massive guy.
Yep, and then
they're smaller, but they're
next mountain over. He stole the trailer he lives in, and lost an arm a few years ago. Hasn't really thought about it since.
a bunch of was it taxidermy?
Oh yeah, Trandoshans are definitely trophy keepers. Yeah, they would do taxidermy. If there's taxidermy in Star Wars, it's the Trandoshans.
Oh yeah, the Trojans of the not Trojans. What is that species in Star Trek Voyager that are the hunters?
Star Trek.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, the super scaly ones. I
don't watch Star Trek at all.
I like Star Trek. So.
It was the one thing
I just don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Right now.
I know that Earl Grey is my favorite tea because Sir Patrick Stewart said so. And that's another thing. We have a lot more random like liquors and alcohols and things that have been like canonized in Star Wars. I wonder if Omega is gonna get drunk in this season. That'd be hilarious. Accidentally gets her hand on like some spotchka.
On accident.
On total.
Underage drink.
Yeah, total accident. Record doesn't give it to her.
I actually feel like Wrecker wouldn't be the one to accidentally give it to her. I feel like Tech might accidentally because he misreads a label or like he trusts.
Oh yeah.
On the label
yeah. It says children should not contain this. Yeah, it should not be drank by minors. You are one. You would not drink this. I mean, there's that scene. Of course, everyone's kind of seeing now. After the re-release of the season, that Disney took out of the original time you see the Bad Batch because it was a little too risque. It's where Anakin and Rex go up to their ship and it's got a Padme painted on it.
Yeah, it's got the Padme painted up.
She can negotiate with me anytime.
I am sad that they took that out, but that would have been, I think, the most adult thing.
Yeah.
Apart from like child soldiers
and murder, and slavery and murder and war.
Yeah. It's Western culture.
It's okay. But we can't talk about the lady being naked. No, but I'm very, very excited because again, as much as I might have complained that I might have wanted more, I will blame entirely on having Andor be just batshit crazy amazing and come out of left field and just take everyone and just be like, you're going on a trip in your favorite rocket ship. And it went off.
You can't complain. It's
no,
I'm
that's my thing. It's not. It is
so good.
The only, like I said, the only issue I had is it just felt like mid-season. Not that it was bad. That to me it just didn't have a premiere vibe. And that's okay, like I said. I don't need all Star Wars to be Oscar winning. That is the last thing I want, is for these writers to be so worried that everything has to be Andor, that they just don't make anything good. I don't want that. I want have fun, make Star Wars. I'll watch all of it, and I'm going to enjoy bits and pieces of every single thing.
And we also got to remember too is Star Wars fans come in all ages.
Yeah.
And they gotta cater to, a show that can bring in the audiences of the younger generation.
You're right.
And so that's kind of what this is supposed to be. Not necessarily it's for kids, but it's kids can watch along with you.
The only animated series that gets away with being extremely risque and racy and being completely animated to the point where children would want to watch it is South Park. It has a pass. It's been on forever. Everyone knows, hey, don't let the kid watch that. It's not going to be good for him at the moment. They don't need to learn those words right now.
Like
yeah.
A lot of the jokes just go over their heads.
Right, exactly. Whereas, yes, this one, especially in Star Wars, yeah, if you see an animated show like this, you're going to want your kid to watch it, or the kid's going to just want to watch it. So they're going to need to make it safe for most ages. That's why we have the Acolyte. Hopefully it's going to be extremely dark and broody and evil, and there's a lot of like carnage and Sith power. Yeah.
He's a little excited.
So ready for the Acolyte.
I don't see it. I think you need to
so ready. I'm going to carve it in my arm.
Announcement. We basically mentioned every podcast.
I can't help it. It's a Sith show. I need it. They're going to answer so many questions, hopefully. They also could not answer any and just give me more. That could be a thing. It could happen. Like with Bad Batch, I have so many questions. Now, I was 100% going into this. The solitary clone was going to be Cody. And now talking with you all, I'm like, well, dang it. I've got like 5 other, okay, Wolf, Gregor, maybe like.
I would consider Cody a solitary clone anyways, too.
Like you said, Chris, in his mind.
In his mind, he's solitary because all of his friends are dead and gone. Or a traitor, even worse. His best friend in the entire army is a filthy traitor.
But he thinks that Rex is dead. Rex is still dead to the Empire. Remember?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Cross are more of a solitary clone than Cody, personally, but
yeah, but Crosshair also knows at any moment if he just called Hunter and went, "I'm sorry, I'll meet you here," they'd show up.
Mm-hmm. I'm really interested to see what Rampart is going to do to Crosshair.
Yeah.
Because you know he's going to get cornered by Rampart. It's like, you lied to me, and now I'm going to hold this over you and control you via this type of blackmail. Because I know that you want to strive to be more than the regular clones. And you are Crosshair. You are better. We made you better. I can just see Rampart doing some fucked up stroking like that.
Yeah.
That makes me think it's more going to be
that the Empire thinks the Bad Batch are dead currently.
Yep.
So there's also that.
And again, except for Rampart and Crosshair, but I think Rampart is through his own ambitious dumb self is going to try to get rid of them in his own way, and I think just put salt in the wound is use Crosshair for that to kill them.
Hopefully, Crosshair knows, like, hey, bro, you're also just as much in trouble as I am because you didn't kill them either. So
no, exactly. So he's going to try to blackmail him.
Yeah,
because it's like you're going to become obsolete unless you help me, and like that was Crosshair's whole thing. It's like, I'm better than a reg, and Rampart has the power to strip him down to lower than a reg,
and hopefully, because Crosshair still thinks, we'll be like, wait a minute, all right, screw the Empire, you bunch of dickheads, what a bunch of losers. Because I really don't I love what happened with Crosshair's storyline, but I really kind of want something to happen as in like a finale. I want him to either turn on his brothers to the point where he literally almost kills Omega and he's like, no, I'm doing this, we're going down swinging, or they save him. But like, I don't want to have another whole season of he almost got the dollar, you almost got the dollar.
I think if they ever do turn him, I think it'll be Omega that turns him.
Yeah. I mean, she's the first one who got to him when they were just sitting in the room, and she just looked at him and it was just, she was just like, oh, you feel bad. He's like,
I think that's the reason why
don't talk to me. I don't want to. You don't need to know my feelings.
He probably thinks that she probably kind of convinced them, because that's kind of when they all changed over, because she even thinks it's her fault.
Yeah.
So he probably blames her for it too.
It'll be one hell of an altercation. It'll definitely be a very powerful scene, and I look forward to seeing the monologues that'll come out of it between like Crosshair, Hunter, Omega, like all shouting at each other over some crazy windy and or rainy environment.
In an Australian accent.
Yeah.
Or handrails.
Because, man, the second
you will hate the Empire.
The second I heard Omega talk, I went, there it is. Oh, she didn't lose any of that.
She is from Aotearoa, so
Yeah.
the actress.
Yeah.
So
It was amazing. I was like, yeah, just as thick. I loved it. I loved how like hilariously thick her accent was. And I know a lot of people were like, oh god, Tik Rika. And I'm like, I love that. No, keep it. Keep it going. I love Tik, Rika, and Hunta. I love them. I just now need to hear her. What is my favorite? Like they always say, Australian's the best thing to get an Australian to say is "oh no" because there's too many R's in it. Oh no! So I just want to hear. I need to hear Omega say "oh no" now. I would say then a big question for everybody: do you think that there will be a major death in the boys in season 2?
No.
Okay, not a one of them.
No.
Cool. Not a one.
I think so.
Not a one of them.
no.
Nothing.
We're
All
gonna
right.
sell those toys.
I do not think there's going to be a death from any on the boys' side, like the batch side.
I think we'll get something close.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to lose somebody. I don't know if it'd be like Sid or something, but dude, they're gonna have to hurt us. It's gonna be Cody, or it's gonna be somebody cares about.
Anti-Sid.
If it's Sid, I'm writing.
I think Sid unfortunately would be a good candidate for that, but I think what's going to happen is that Sid's going to sacrifice herself to protect the batch, because if as much as she is the chain smoking aunt / grandma, she cares about the boys. Like when she said, it's like the Empire is going to be coming soon and I won't be able to provide for you guys anymore.
Yeah.
And especially when Tech agreed with her, it's like, oh yeah, she cares about them. And especially also when the Devonian took over and he's like, well, I'll just shoot the kid. The boys take out their guns, but Zid is the one who plants herself in front of him. Like, absolutely not, sir. We'll figure this out a different way.
Yeah.
So as much as I hate to agree, I think Sid is the best candidate for us to be hurt.
Yeah.
No, Cody.
I think her statement about the Empire's coming, I think that's going to be near the end of the season where they actually will show up.
And she could do 100% just, the sacrifice through, we know you know them and that you talk to them. Where are they? She just won't tell them anything. It's going to be, that big, it'll probably be a thing too, where they're like watching somewhere else as it goes down and she gets like shot in the street and they're just like watching. Omega has to deal with that. Because that's going to be the other part of this is Omega, like each season, something happens to Omega that's going to harden her and like get her to realize what the world is like and like show her things. And she's lost, a lot with literally all of Camino, being eviscerated from planet or from orbit. But she now needs to lose something that she created, the bond she made.
Yeah, sorry, two things. One, very semi-superficial, but did you guys notice that her outfit is made up of components that reflect her brothers? She's got a wrist wrap like Hunter. Her shirt is red like Echo's. I'm gonna say the helmet paint color is yellow for Wrecker, and I'm not sure about Tex, but I want to say like her utility belt has a lot more pockets like Tex. I'm like, oh, that's really sweet and cute. But also like with Omega, yes, I agree she's gonna have to lose something. And obviously, she's losing her innocence because when you grow up, you start losing.
Yeah.
It. But also, seeing her take on that burden that all children I think feel at one point or another, that I am a problem and I need to fix this for my parents. I need to be the parent to my parent. That was really sad.
Yeah.
And I just appreciated that Echo, they had that scene between her and Echo. And the thing again with Echo is that he doesn't dick around. He doesn't say things just to say things. When he says something, he means it.
Yes.
And so for him to tell Omega, it's like, I would do it all over again. It wasn't him trying to, appease her, just kind of, it's gonna be okay, or like coddle her in any way. He was like, no, I'm being serious. And just seeing her smile and feel better about overhearing that conversation of mom and dad are fighting again was just so beautiful. It made me want to cry. I want to hug them all. And Echo needs a break because he's still very much traumatized. Okay, I'm done.
No, I can agree with that. Echo went through so much though. Echo's like, I literally crawled out of my own grave. Let me tell you, when I tell you that you mean something to me, I ain't kidding. Like,
He's been through. He lost a lot. People, lost essentially his family. He lost his life almost essentially, and then he became the one thing he was fighting, which also made it difficult for him to be a clone, which he basically became almost half droid. So you got to also figure that is clones literally hated the droids, and then you have a droid hand, and your head's basically
And they used you to get data out of you to kill hundreds of thousands of your brothers.
So to live with that is already tough.
Yeah.
So
they addressed that trauma, because that's what I think a lot of people really wanted in season 1 was for a moment between Rex and Echo, and for Echo to learn about Fives' death, and for us to see him get that information and potentially process it, because it's going to take a while to process. But I hope we get more in-depth look into them processing, just like as you and I discussed back in August, when we thought we were going to get the boys back in September.
Yeah.
That, the reason why so many people resonate with the Batch is that they are trying to find themselves in this new world. What is our role? We've been told, we were bred and told that we were one thing, and we did that one thing for so long, and now we're tossed into a whole new world. So I just, anyway.
That's a very, you know what? And there's the perfect point to say, yes, the Bad Batch is for everyone, because it is a new crazy world that we're all in right now, with all kinds of crazy new things happening, and none of us know what the hell is going on.
And that happens to a lot of people in real life, where they have careers for so long, even not only veterans, but people that have full careers that ended because of COVID, of things that got rid of them. So now they don't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah.
And then you have their child who has 4 parents they know what their role is, that she doesn't know what her role is. And so she's trying to find themselves where they're trying to find themselves. So that's...
And everyone's teaching everybody that no one knows what's going on, but you need everyone to figure it out along the way. And like that's
new points of view.
Yeah, and that's going to be a beautiful thing that Bad Batch will give, because I feel like a lot of other Star Wars stories are about the solitary lead. Like Andor has a support system in Rogue One, and then he dies, but through season 1 of Andor, he has no support. Luthen would have just as quickly shot him in the head as he would have helped him.
Yeah.
He
was planning on it.
Anakin's whole plight is that he personally made himself alone, and like a lot of things happened around Anakin that made him feel like he was alone, and he ostracized himself then out of it, and that ruined everything. When we see Luke was literally alone, except until he found Leia, and then they had to run off and do their own individual things. Rey literally felt like she was alone. She had no idea who her parents were. The Batch is this time when Star Wars were like, no, this is what happens when you have that bond, though. When you have a tight knit and you keep it, and you have to hold on to it forever. And that's what we're then again, of course, with Rebels vibe that we'll get through Ahsoka. That's another team. That is a unit. Ezra needs Ahsoka and Sabine, and like to really that group needs to be together to work at 100% capacity, just like the Batch. And they're striving, and they're gonna really have to work. And I know they're going to work every episode to get Crosshair back to be at 100% again. I
don't think Cross is gonna.
You don't think he's ever?
Do
you think
hit his redemption? I think he will be. He will redeem himself, but I don't think he's gonna join the boys.
Yeah.
Well, you think it's gonna be the classic where he finally turns over at the last second and then dies, kind of like Vader?
No, I think he is gonna survive, but he
won't be able to.
The ending that we want.
The Empire's never going to accept him fully. He's going to eventually be gone.
That and the boys have to do something to not be in any of the movies.
And him redeeming himself doesn't mean he has to stay with the Empire.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he's going to stay with the Empire, but I don't think he's going to rejoin the boys, at least not for a while.
I am curious to see how the boys go off into the sunset. That'll be a fun one whenever that does happen. I'm sure we have a few more seasons, honestly, because it's still pretty early on to the Empire and stuff.
Bitch, I hope so, because again, they denied our boys to us twice. It's like they saw the response at Celebration, so they know that there is a large fan base who really, really like the show. Not just because we're clone Sims, that might be a solid 70% of it. It's a really good story.
Well, and it also
I'm offended by that statement. Okay,
I'm not a clone Sim at all. What are you talking about?
What? I mean, it's Hunter
I don't have
clone Black Series figures.
I don't buy. Yeah, you don't have the helmets. You don't have.
I have 2 clone helmets.
It's always
your Hunter helmet in the back. It's wonderful.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. The Rex. Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm working on a Sabine helmet cosplay. Yeah, actually, Alpha Ignition is the one who I got the cast from.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'll say I have a cast of Sabine's helmet.
Helping me. once I start back up again. I'm so intimidated by cosplay in general, so I'm just like,
dude,
I have the components.
It's a lot scary at first, I promise you. Once you really start getting into it, it becomes addictively fun.
I think once I'm finally get a job and move and just kind of settle into a routine, I'll be able to, because I got the perfect boots for.
My advice is there's millions of resources out there, and there's tons of people that love the help.
Alrighty, guys, but it was so much fun to get to have Young back and discuss the Bad Batch. The 2-episode premiere was amazing. To get 2 episodes, I was happy I was able to rewatch them because at 3 a.m. I was so tired, so fell asleep, which is But it was an amazing time, and it's going to be an amazing rest of the season. I am so forward to see where the Bad Batch is going to go. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, every House of Holocrons podcast will be at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, live or recorded. We'll make sure it's always the same place and time to keep everything good for you. Young, if you have anything you'd like to promote, please feel free to.
I'm on TikTok at Lethal Youngling, and I have a podcast with JComic7 called There Are More of Us that's on Apple and Spotify. We try to get it out every Tuesday, but it's not something that we're like gung-ho on. It's just something that we do for fun. But we covered all of Andor, and we have so much fun recording it. We also get off on quite a few tangents. So just forewarning on that.
That's the whole point of this, is to have fun. If you go into this for any other reason, it won't work out.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciated it. It's always fun to gush about our voices with like-minded individuals. So.
Yay! Alrighty, guys. So thank you so much for joining us, and as always, may the Force serve you well.
May the Force be with you.